tá ligado? Então vamos lá. Mano, isso mata um, mano.
This video is not the only one. There are dozens like it. People opening the doll, already expecting to find something inside, and still...
Mas, gente...
they are shocked by what they find. Cause even when you expect it, finding something so dangerous inside a toy just doesn't feel real. And even though the proof is everywhere now, this wasn't something the internet created. This didn't start online, it started decades earlier, with a character kids already knew. His name was Fofão, a familiar face for millions of kids in the 1980s. The doll was everywhere. And the doll itself wasn't a problem. At least not at first. It was just a toy, but at some point, something changed. Even before the rumor, there was already something unsettling about it. Looking back, it's not hard to see why. You see, fofo in Portuguese means cute. Fofão is a variation of that. However, it couldn't be far from the truth. I mean, the oversized cheeks, the hollow eyes, an expression that didn't quite match anything. For some people, it already felt a little off, especially the parents. And then an urban legend started to spread. Not about his face, but about what was inside. Supposedly, there was something hidden in the doll, something never meant to be found. And you can bet that once an idea like that takes hold, it doesn't stay a story for long. People of course would check. And the crazy thing is, the story was not just a story. Instead of asking you to imagine it, it's easier to just explain how it actually felt. If you were a Brazilian kid in the 1980s, you probably knew the doll, the one with the strange face. Maybe you had one, maybe a friend did, and even before anything else, there was already something about it that felt a little off. Nothing you could explain, just off. And then one day someone at school says something. That there is something inside it. Not just anything. A dagger, like a ritual dagger. Hidden. And the way they say it isn't like a joke. They explain it. They tell you where it is, how deep it goes, how you have to break the doll to get there. It's almost like they have seen it, or like someone already did that. So yeah, you laugh at her face. But not completely, because by that point, you have already heard other things. Stories about the hidden messages, songs played backwards, objects tied to rituals. Things that sounded too detailed to be made up, too specific. And then, the next day, someone brings the doll and shows you this. This is where any kid would shit their pants, because they were already expecting to find something. And that expectation didn't come from nowhere. It came from something much bigger that was happening at the time. By that time, people were already seeing things differently. It wasn't just one story, it wasn't just one rumor. It was a kind of fear that started showing up everywhere. A feeling that something wasn't right, but no one could quite explain why. So people started paying attention, looking a little closer at things they had seen 1,000 times before.
Warning signs of satanic behavior may be apparent. A sudden, bitterly antagonistic attitude towards family and religion. a reclusive behavior pattern, and listening exclusively to heavy metal rock music. When one or more of these warning signs are evident, you should look further for ritual items such as a pentagram or other satanic symbols, black or red robes, a decorative dagger or knife.
Music, cartoons, toys. Suddenly, they didn't feel the same anymore. Not because they had changed, but because the way people looked at them had changed. Now, there could be something hidden inside. Messages inside songs, symbols inside cartoons.
There are some things about Smurfs that we need to look at. First of all, you'll notice that they're depicted as blue with black lips. And you know what happens to you when you die? You turn blue and your lips turn black.
Meanings buried where no one was supposed to look. Things that always looked normal started to feel different. And in the 1980s, this kind of fear had a name, part of what would later be called the Satanic Panic. People weren't just looking at the toy anymore, they were looking inside it. And once you start looking, you will find something, even if it wasn't there before. Well, the Satanic Panic explains why the story spread, but it doesn't really explain this. It turns out that what people were finding was never meant to be seen. Inside the head of the doll, there was a rigid internal structure, a support piece, used to hold the big head in place. But imagine being a kid, opening a doll you are already afraid of, and depending how it breaks, that structure could come out in one piece, like a dagger. At least that's what it looked like. And if you already believe something, it doesn't need to be exact. That's enough, it feels real. Because in a way, it was. There really was something inside, just not what people thought. The story didn't need to be true, it needed to be seen. And once it was, the doll was never just a doll again. Because now people knew what was inside, even if they didn't fully understand it.